And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have a delicious cabbage roll recipe for you. So this one is a little bit interesting. You have to keep track of a couple of things going on at the same time because you're going to be making the filling at the same time as you're making your sauce. So there's going to be a few different things going on simultaneously for this one, and let's get going with our ingredients. So we're going to use some Napa cabbage for that. This is perfect for this. A can of tomatoes, whole tomatoes, some ground pork. We've got some leftover rice, a little bit of celery. Some spices, we've got a dried chili pepper as Thai bird, some black pepper, and some dill seed. An onion that we're going to use in two different places, some leek, shallots, and garlic, again, that we're going to split in two. Some carrot, and some bay leaves. So we're going to start off by getting part of the garlic into tinfoil, and we're going to put that in the oven to roast, and it's going to roast for a little while. This is going to be part of the sauce. Meanwhile, the rest of the garlic is going to be part of the filling, so we're just going to get that together separately from the garlic we're using in the sauce. So we're just going to chop the garlic pretty finely. This is for the filling. We don't need it to be super small. It's going to cook with the pork and everything inside the cabbage rolls. So we're going to add that garlic into the rice that we've got. Again, we've got some leftover rice. It's a little bit dry, which was perfect for this because it can absorb some of the extra liquid. And then we're going to get some of our other aromatic elements chopped up here. So that's the leek. We're also going to do some of the shallot. And again, this is all for the filling. So we're going to get that nicely chopped along with half of the onion. So half of the onion is going to get chopped here, and the other half is going to be used in the sauce, along with the other half of the shallot and all of that sort of thing. So let's get that into our pan, a little bit of oil in there, and it's nice and hot. So there we go with our beautiful aromatics. And we just want to get actually quite a lot of color on these. We want these to be nice and dark, quite sweet, and cooked down. And we're going to mix that in with our cabbage roll filling. A little bit of salt. And a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper if you want. You don't want to over-season this because there's other seasoning coming in that filling as well. So we're just going to let that cook for a little while. And that's going to cook down quite a lot. It's going to get quite a bit of color. And again, this is for the filling. Now, while that's happening, we are going to get our cabbage ready. Now, we're using Napa cabbage, which is good and tender, but we also want to make sure that it folds appropriately and we'll be able to roll it up. So we do want to cook it, just par cook it a little bit until it's good and soft. So we're going to get that into some boiling water. And we're not going to cook it all the way through. We don't want to cook it for very long. We just, again, want to make sure that it's soft enough that it's going to roll pretty easily. So once it's reached that point, we're going to shock it. We're going to pop it right into some ice water to stop it cooking. We don't want to overcook this. And then once we've got all of that into the ice water and it's all shocked and stopped cooking right away, we're also going to drain that. So we're just going to line a colander with that and make sure that it's well drained. Meanwhile, we're going to get the rest of the ingredients going for the sauce. So here we have some celery that we're just going to chop pretty finely. It doesn't have to be pretty. We're going to be burr mixing this sauce. You can use a blender or a food processor as well. The other half of the onion. And also our carrot. So once we have everything chopped up, we're also going to use the other half of the shallots. And we're just trying to mince these so that they cook pretty quickly and pretty evenly. Again, the carrots, we're going to cut that into, we have one of these huge food service carrots. So we're going to cut that into panels, cut the panels into sticks. And then once we've got them into sticks, we can just chop them down into a pretty small dice, honestly. So now all of this is going to cook together, so it doesn't really matter if we sort of get it on each other. Meanwhile, let's go back and take a look at our other aromatics here, and you can see they're quite dark now. They've cooked down quite a lot. Got some really nice color on them. Those onions and shallots have gone really, really soft. They're quite sweet now as well because they've caramelized so much. And we're just going to pop that into our bowl with the raw garlic and the rice, the leftover rice for our filling. Meanwhile, for our sauce, we're going to get our bay leaves and a little bit of, we're using olive oil into a pot. And we're going to add in our second round of veggies. So this was the onions and the shallots and the carrot that we just cut up, and the celery as well. So that's going to go cook for a little while. A little bit of salt, and we're just going to let that cook until it's nice and translucent. We're going to cover it as well. Give it a little stir to make sure that the bay leaves get sort of moved around a bit, and the veggies all get a nice coating of that oil. Meanwhile, we're going to get our spices together. So we've got our dried Thai bird chili, the black peppercorns, and the dill seed. And we're just going to give that a little grind in our spice grinder until it's good and fine. We want it basically powdered for this. And we're going to add that into our filling. And then we can start getting our filling together. So we're going to add, once we've got the sauce going, so you can see here it has gotten a little bit translucent. We're going to add in that can of tomatoes. And we like to use the whole canned tomatoes because it comes out a little less thick. The diced ones or the crushed ones have a little less liquid. We want that liquid because we're going to be stealing a little bit of it for the cabbage rolls in just a little while. Meanwhile, we're going to season our filling a little bit of salt in there, and our ground pork. And then we're just going to mix that until it is well combined and it's all nice and even in there. And again, you can see that sort of dry rice is going to soak up a lot of the moisture from our other ingredients as they cook in the cabbage rolls. And you can see here, they're nice and soft and really easy to fold right now. Sometimes some people will trim the stem side away just a little bit or shave it off just to make it thinner. But if it's nice and soft, then you really don't need to. So you're going to add a little bit of your filling and then just very carefully roll that up and sort of tuck in the edges. And then we're just going to pop that into a little casserole dish until it's nice and full like that. Meanwhile, our sauce is over here cooking away. We're going to steal a little bit of that nice flavorful tomato broth, and we're just going to pop that on top of the cabbage rolls. We're not going to cook the cabbage rolls in the sauce. We're going to wait until the sauce is done. We're going to just add that at the end, but we are going to give it a little bit of that tomato flavor here, and pop that into the oven with just that little hint of the sauce. Meanwhile, we're going to take that nice roasted garlic out of the oven that we started way back at the beginning. So after a little while, this is what the casserole dish looks like with the cabbage rolls. You can see it's got a little bit of that color on the top there from the oven. We're going to give it another dose of just the tomato broth from the sauce that's floating to the top. And then we're going to pop that back in the oven. We want to make sure these are cooked all the way through. We're dealing with ground pork here. So we want to make sure that they're cooked all the way through. That's going to go back in the oven just for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, we are going to get the bay leaves out of our sauce. And we're going to add in that roasted garlic that we took out of the oven. So you want to give it a little bit of time to be able to handle it. And that's just going to go into the pot. And once you've got all your roasted garlic in there, it's time to burr mix. So we've got our nice stick blender here. We are going to get that going. And we were really happy with the consistency of the sauce when we finished. It came out as this beautiful thick sauce. Lots of great flavor. That roasted garlic was fantastic. We had to adjust the flavor just a little. We wanted a little bit more zing, so we added just a tiny bit of lemon juice. And now's a great time to be adjusting your flavors. Give it a taste. See if it needs a little bit of salt, if it needs a little bit of acid. If you want it to have a little bit more kick, you can add a little bit of Tabasco or something like that. Now we have some hot peppers in the filling for our cabbage rolls, so we don't need this to be super spicy. But if you want a little bit more, then feel free. It's all whatever you prefer. So these are now done. We're going to take those out. You can see them boiling around the outside. And all that's left is to serve them. So they will hold together pretty well once they've cooked. So we're just going to pop that onto a plate. We really like those nice little toasty bits. Really delicious. Lots of nice flavor there, actually. And our beautiful thick sauce. We're just going to spoon that over top, and you can see it just sort of stays there. Really, really excellent, nice thick sauce. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Really, really simple. I say that. It is a few things to keep track of at the same time, but in the end, not all that terrible. Really delicious, though. Worth the effort. I absolutely recommend this, and I hope you'll give this one a try. So, if you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.